Hello, my name is Professor John Benjamin, and this is graphic design at West Virginia Wesleyan College. And today we're going to be talking about using repeaters in After Effects. All right, so let's go ahead and open up After Effects. Okay, let's say new composition, and let's make it 3 seconds long, and let's call this repeater. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is create a shape. So let's go to Layer and New Shape Layer. All right, you have a shape layer down here, and we're going to open it up, and we're going to add some components to it. We're going to want to group several elements of the shape together to a group. So we're going to say add group empty. And here's group 1. Now we can say add ellipse, because I want to have a circle. And there it is. And I can say add fill. And you can add a stroke too if you like. There's the stroke. All right, and let's change some of the parameters. I don't like this color. I'm going to make it green, nice lime green. And I'm going to give it a stroke. That's yellow. I'll make the stroke a little bigger. All right, there we are. And let's make the circle bigger too. Now, if you notice, if you pull out a corner anchor, it's going to get all squashy. So just hold the Shift key down to make it bigger. Okay, there we have it. Oh, that stroke's a little too large. Let's bring that back down. Okay, 3 is much better. All right, there we are. Okay, so there's our shape. Great, and it's got a stroke and a fill, several other things, and they're all grouped together. So now I want to create another shape, but I want to create a group just like that one. So I'm going to say add group empty. I get group 2. I want to see group 2, otherwise it's going to be below group 1. I won't be able to see it. So with group 2 selected, I'm going to add another ellipse. There it is. And let's add a fill. And I think we'll leave the stroke off for this one. And I don't like that color, so I'm going to go ahead and make it bright yellow. All right, there we have it. Looks pretty interesting. So now what we want to do is repeat some of these shapes. So we're going to add a repeater. So with content selected, I'll go ahead and say add a repeater. And what repeater automatically does is it goes to the bottom and it adds a repetition of 3 of whatever shape we've made. So I want it to just repeat this circle. So I'm going to move the repeater later up above 1, and then you can see it's just repeating the group 2 ellipse. Okay, so let's change some of its parameters. So let's go ahead and open up the repeater and the transform. And let's make this a little bigger so we can see what's going on down here. And you can see it has 3 copies. So I can change that to 12. Now there's 12 copies. And I can change its position. So right now it's at 100. I go ahead and shrink it down. You can see they'll kind of layer on top of each other or spread out. So I'm scrubbing the position right now. And I would like the position to be 0, because I want them to be all on top of each other and then spread out. But now what I want to do is I'm going to have them kind of open up like a clock in rotation. So I need to change the position of this circle right here. So I'm going to go to group 2, and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to transform group 2 right here. And so the first thing I want to do is the scale. So I'm going to bring it down to like 25%. I want a pretty small dot right there in the middle. That's really small. And then I want to change its position. So I want to go ahead and move it up to the top so it's in the 12 o'clock position. And so I scrub that to minus 157. Well, let's make that even. Let's say minus 160. There it is. Okay, and there's my little circle up at the top, my little ellipse. So now I can close up group 2 and come back down to my repeater. All right, and what I want to do is to have it repeat and rotate. So here we have rotation, and if I scrub rotation, you can see that that little circle repeats and it rotates. Now I want to have it to be, I made 12 of them, and I want them to be in the right position, like in a clock. And so to do that, I want to have everything even. You take 360 degrees and divide that by 12. So 360 divided by 12 is 30. So I can just type in 30 here. And now they're all in the right place. All right, so let's animate that. So I'm going to move my slider up to about 5 frames. And I'm going to go here with rotation. I'll turn on the stopwatch. I'll move it up to about 20 frames. And I'll hit the add a keyframe button there. So 2 keyframes. And I'm going to move back to my original keyframe and set this from 30 back to 0. And you can see what happens now. I have from this keyframe at 0 to this keyframe at 30. And they open up. It's in a little spiral. Very excellent. So repeaters are great because then we can have multiple repeaters. And so what I want to do is I want to have it spiral open, and then I want it to sort of burst out of the circle. So I'm going to create another repeater. So I can just select the repeater, or I can select contents and say add repeater. And depending on its location, in this case it's going to repeat everything. But I just want it to repeat the group. All right, there it is, repeating the group. So I'm going to open it up again and open up transform for repeater 2. And now again with the position, it starts off at 100. I want it to be, and I can see you can make it come out like this. I want it to be at 0 because I want them all to be lined up. Okay, there we have it, 0 and 0. And the other thing is I want more than 3. This gave me 3, so let's go ahead and give it, let's give it 10. All right. And so now what I want to do is I want to transform the scale, so each 10 of them sort of gets bigger. All right, so now let's go to scale. Where are you, scale? Here's transform repeater scale. There it is. So if I go ahead and scrub scale, you can see what will happen. Be pretty cool, right? But what I want to do is start off where I was at 100. And I'm going to set an anchor point there. I'm going to set the stopwatch. So let's hit stopwatch scale, and then slide it up from there to about 10 frames. And add another keyframe. And let's change the scale from 100 to 200%. All right, and then we can see how that works. Play that through. Now that's pretty excellent, except we don't have any transitions. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set some of the keyframes to align with these, particularly the copies and the offset. So let's do that. Let's move back to this original keyframe location here. And I'm going to turn the stopwatch on for copies and offset. Then I'm going to move up to the next scale keyframe here. And I'm going to add keyframes for that. So the first one we're going to change, though, is the number of copies. So I'm going to change from 10 to 0. And you'll see what happens. So if we scrub that, it replicates the scale, but they get fewer and fewer going from 10 down to 0 from the outside in. And that's a cool effect, but that's not what I want to have happen. I want to have them burst out and then sort of disappear. So I need to change the offset. So the offset starts right here at this center point and then expands outwards and scaled. So I'm going to change the offset now from 0 to here. I'm going to change that to 4. Maybe 3. Let's try 3. Okay, and then you'll see what happens. So it's going to go outward, and then you can see each frame forward, it's going to go from 10, 9, 8, and they're going to disappear. And then what's going to happen is that's going to give the effect that they transition, they shoot out and go off of the screen, like so. All right, let's try one more bit of animation. Let's say we want to spiral this repeater. We'll go down to rotate. So remember, it's always important to try to have your keyframes lined up. So that's why we use these go to next keyframe and previous keyframe. So I'm going to go to the previous keyframe right here. I'm going to turn the stopwatch on for rotation. I'm going to go to the next keyframe here and add a keyframe for rotation. And what I'll simply do is, since the original keyframe for rotation is set to 0, I'll go ahead and then scrub this one to, let's say, 27. Let's make it an even 25. All right, so what's going to happen is they're going to rotate 25 degrees from their starting point. You can see if I scrub that, I do that like so. All right, so let's play that through again. All right, and that's how repeaters work. So thanks for joining me.